Some of the best programmers says that CSS is too hard, but you might be surprised how modern techniques can dramatically improve your code. Stay tuned, I'll be back after this short intro. Hey, and welcome back to Webster, a show we discuss everything programming. My name is Michelle. Today, I'll be talking about the top 10 CSS best practices which will help both you and I maintain consistency on the long run. Without much being said, let's dive in. Our number one on the list here: normalize or reset your CSS. Here, every browser comes with a default style for the elements and these vary. Therefore, there is a chance that your theme may look one way in one browser and different in another. It may have an extra border or shape you were not expecting. So, by resetting your CSS, you streamline these things and give your style a better chance to look the same in any browser. You can do this by following this example you're seeing on the screen. You have reset your browser default setting. So these three lines of code can help you accomplish that. Next on the list, use CSS variables. My number one reason to use a preprocessor was the variable, and CSS variables are way better because they stick around when loaded in the browser. The support is good and it allows you to create a more flexible and reusable UI. Without mentioning, it helps you to create a more powerful design system and features. What do I mean by variables? Here, you can see this comment, use of variables. This is an example of a variable. We have primary color, secondary color, same with dark and text color. So how can I use this variable inside my code? You see where I incorporated the variable. Here is color, var, meaning variable, and then the text color. What's the text color? Text color, which is white. So this is a very good way for you to use variable. Next, we have use self-explanatory classes. Using self-explanatory class names so that any developer understand what this does. So what we are trying to say is that you should use class names that other developers will understand. This first will come in the HTML. What type of class name do you use in your HTML? For example, my nav here, we have class container, class logo. So a developer can see this and understand that this is a container that houses this. So how do I style this? Simply go to the CSS section and you can see nav.container. Next on the list, we have use shorthand properties. Using shorthand properties helps minimize the amount of code you write. You should note that the less you write, the better you can maintain on the long run. Now, what is this shorthand property? The header. We have padding left, padding top, padding bottom, padding right. This is wrong. I mean this, as you can see, is wrong. Assuming all these were filled with 10, then it wouldn't make any sense. You have to write this code here in a shorter way. And how can you do that? You can use this padding. give it 10, and it will affect both the left, the top, the bottom, and the right. Next on the list, we have combine elements that need the same styling. We can combine elements that need the same styling. This is called dry encoding or programming, meaning don't repeat yourself. Now, here is an example of how you can combine elements that need the same styling. You can achieve this with the help of a comma, just as you have seen here. We have request form, type, text, comma, request form input, type, email. So all these elements here, they are using this styling, and it's pretty well organized. Next, we have the top-down approach. This approach makes your work more readable. It is actually styling your CSS from the nav bar to the footer. You are not to style a section before styling the nav or the footer. So you start with the nav, then now target each section before coming to the footer. Next, avoid inline styles. My number one reason to avoid them is that you added an external style sheet for a reason, and that reason is to separate style from the HTML structure. Take note that external style sheet is this CSS. Although there are exceptions to this, but if you have a style in your external style sheets, style in HTML, style in JavaScript, it becomes hard to track what is doing the change, and as your code base grows, it becomes hard to maintain. So this is encouraging us to avoid styling your HTML, putting style in your HTML like what you have seen here. You should avoid them. Rather, you can go to your CSS and style that particular section or that particular text. Next, we have comment your CSS. Commenting is a good thing. Adopt it. If you write complex hacks or found these cases where something works but don't know, then add a comment. Add comments for complex things, to organize your CSS, to help others understand your thinking and strategy, and to make sense out of your mess when you come back to it later. So how can we add comments to CSS? Like what you have seen here, the head section. This is a comment describing this section here. Next is the about us section. It's also a comment. Next, style your CSS to be responsive or at least fluid. You are creating something to go in the browser, which means that people will access it in a variety of device types and sizes. Really consider improving the experience for these people by considering fluid or responsive design. So if your project does not include a responsiveness plan, try to at least remain fluid. Now, what do I mean by this? After styling my website, I want to at least make it fluid so that it looks good on mobile phones. And how can I do this? I can accomplish that using the media query. So here I have media query for screen size 760 and also phone size 460. Next and finally, write CSS consistently. So you should always remember consistency is key. Even if you're doing everything wrong, remain consistent as it will be easier to fix them later. Find a naming convention that works for you. Adopt a CSS methodology. Organize styles the same way. Define how many levels you need sections. Define your style and stick to it and improve it over time. That is the summary of what we have learned so far. Consistency is the key. Thanks for watching. If you have found value from this video, then do well to subscribe to the channel. Share your thoughts on the comment section, like and share this video. See you all in the next video.